So here we go. We're going to start with the pumpkin. So I'm going to do my very rough sketches to begin with. I would like, okay, here's our pumpkin shape. I would like it here. And I think I will have the pretzel right here. I like giving a little twist to the picture. Nobody's expecting a pretzel with the pumpkin. And it's my favorite bread. And, okay, here's the stem. And definitely I'm going to put some flowers. So I like the rule of 3. Depending, of course, on what I'm drawing. But I have a big thing in the middle. It can be towards the side as well. The next thing, and then I will add little flowers. So I think I like something like this. So for my sketch, I just make little circles for the flowers. The leaves is something that I'm going to add in after. So that's my rough sketch. I'm going to lower the opacity. I'm using the rusty pencil. But again, just as a reminder, feel free to use whatever you have on hand at home. You don't have to use the iPad. You can use just paper, pen, inks, markers, paints, anything you want. Okay, so I'm going to start with my pumpkin here. Give it a little bit more shape. Pumpkins have these nice bulges on the top, on the bottom. That's what makes them the beautiful shape, interesting shape, not just a circle. All right, this is kind of simple. I'm not so into this part here because it's not the same as the other side. I like sticking with my proportions. So here we try again. Oops. Okay, a little bit wider, I think. And there we have it. If I need to fix it up, I will zoom in. It doesn't have to be perfect, which is the kind of style that I'm working with. It's kind of whimsical, not perfection. As you can see, my pencil, the brush that I used is also very sketchy, and that's what I like. I will add a little bit more here. Maybe a few lines like this to make it stand out a bit. See the bulges? All right, I think this is okay. For our pumpkin, I'm going to do the stem. I think they have like little lines like that. It's not perfectly straight. And I'm going to change layer. Of course, if you're doing this on paper, you don't have to worry about this part. And I'm going to make my pretzel. See if oops. I like trying to do it in one go, but it doesn't always work perfectly. Nope, it didn't work. Here we go, little again. I need to make it wide enough. Okay, now pause. Not to tire my arm out. I'm not going for perfection here, but I do need to get them intertwined. And I'm doing my pencil, my brush here. It's okay. It's not perfect, but neither are. Oops. I like putting my eraser to the same pencil brush that I'm using. That way it's not perfect. It kind of gives that look. All right, so here it's going this way. I know it's not very easy to see with the sketch, so we will take off the sketch for a minute. One is going on top and the other one is going on top on the bottom part. So I will erase the appropriate lines. go. And I'm going to take off the pumpkin as well so you can see a little clearer. I will also erase this part. And we have our pretzel. I will just put it back to see what it looks like. Okay, I think it's pretty good. And let's bring back our sketch. I'm going to name each of my layers. So this one is the pretzel. This one is the pumpkin. All right, and up here, on top of this one, I will make the flowers. And the reason I'm working with layers is because I'm going to use this as clip art. And at the end, I separate each thing, so it makes it a lot easier to have it on different layers, as you will see in another one of my videos while I create clip art. All right, here we go. We have our pen ready. And, I'm trying to think. Oops. I didn't show my layer. Here we go. I might make some, a daisy here, maybe. I love this flower. It's one of my favorites. You still see them around at this time. So this is kind of creating an autumn, end of summer vibe, because flowers are still around. We have the pretty colors of the flowers, and we start having the pumpkins, which I love. And the pretzel I'll enjoy all year round. Here I'm going to do another daisy. So I'm kind of playing around where they go. I'm not 100% sure at the beginning. Oops, can I fit in another one here? I'm not always sure exactly how I'll fit them in when I start my picture. Sometimes I'll have it really planned. Other times it's really by inspiration. I'll put a smaller daisy here. And you look back, you try to see the full picture. Let's erase that little line here. I'll put this one in front. I like adding these little lines. It kind of adds to the flower. All right, so we have our daisies. Now I will include some other types of flowers. This is like my typical flower pattern. I don't know what name I would give it. It could be a geranium. It could be a pansy. I'm just going for the look, and I love how these look. And afterwards, I kind of decide which ones do I want to bring in front or to the back. If you're doing this on paper, you would probably have to decide that as you go and leave out the lines that you don't need. Okay, and sometimes I don't always follow my sketch to a T. That means, yeah. I go back and I look, okay, what would look nice here? I don't know how other artists do it, but that's the way that I work. So I add a little, and I like adding just, sometimes they don't even have a real shape. And I kind of like that, the simplicity of it. Nothing in life is perfect. And I kind of bring that in my art too. I'm making this for the fun of it, right? Some of you here are probably here as well, just because you enjoy art. You want to learn a little piece. You want to take a little time for pause, reflection. And that's what I love about drawing. It's definitely very meditative. You're in the calm, you're in the peaceful. All right, so we have our flowers. Now I will add some leaves. So I'm going to use a new layer. I'm going to label it. And here we go. Okay, I don't have the leaves planned out quite yet, but oops, I didn't see where I was going with that one. All right, we'll have the typical. I like my triple leaves. That's very common for my liking. As you'll see in a lot of my art, I do these, and it's very simple. You can start with your 3 basic lines, 1, 2, 3, and then you add the leaves. Oops, actually, because this is clip art, and again, I need my leaves totally filled. I forgot about that. If you're just drawing your picture, then you leave out the flower. You have it in the back or in the front, really where you want it. Where else? Here I'm gonna have maybe 1 or 2, some smaller leaves. I like a variety of leaves. And I may even add 1 bigger one here with the little stems in the middle. All right, maybe a second one too here. This picture actually doesn't need that many leaves. I really like these little, very simple little, almost like wheat looking things. And it kind of fits, I think it fits the little pumpkin style. So feel free, there's no rhyme and reason. Look, I can add a little extra leaf there. And I may even add a little fern leaf here. I love these as well. Oops, again, I'm going to fill it out because I can decide the layers, the order of the layers. If I want this one in the back, I'll just put it in the back. And so these overlapping is not a problem for me. For you, if you're working on paper, then you will want to think about that. I think it would look cute to add a little flower in here. So again, your shapes, it can be 3 petals, it can be 1 full like that, 2 petals. I do sometimes 4 petals. All right, so I think we're done with our sketch. We will take off the layer, the rough layer, sketch layer. And I think this looks pretty good. The next step will be the coloring. I will take off my layer for the sketch here, just to save on layers since I don't have that many. And I usually like to add in a layer underneath the, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'll add in the layer underneath the ink. That way we can still see the ink as we color. And I will not name it because after I'll end up merging them. So we're going to start with our pumpkin coloring. And for that, I can also just take off all my other layers. That makes it a lot clearer. Okay, so here we go, choosing our colors. So often I have a color palette that I work with. This time I'm really guessing because I didn't come totally... I know the look that I want, as I showed you the example at the beginning, but it's not going to be the exact same one, which is fine. Okay, I'm staying with the rusty pencil. I like the pencil look in my art because it's, oops, I'm going to make the brush really big. See, it's not perfect, and depending on how I push, I can make it fuller or continue those little, as you see, there's still little bits of white, and I like that. That's kind of like the style I'm going for. It's not a perfectly vectorized image. Although for the borders, I am changing the size of my brush so that I can stay within the lines a little bit better. And I'm doing a gentle stroke. So if you were painting, this would go much quicker. But on the iPad, when I do clip art, I prefer to use the iPad on Procreate because there's better quality. You can get pretty high quality by scanning, depending on your scanner, but never fully. And also it's a lot of work to cut your pictures and images after they're painted. Whereas this, you just keep the layers that you want. Okay, that was my weekly report, which made my screen pause for a sec. All right, so my border, I like starting with the border, having that done, and then I will fill out the rest of it. Again, it's not perfect because, as you'll see, the further we get into it, the more we'll perfect it, sorry. You can use big strokes, little strokes. I really like variety, so sometimes I feel like I need to work on my iPad, other times I need a break and I need the hands-on paper. It's sometimes the most mindful, reflective work, I think. All right, so we have our main color. I'm going to add one more layer for the shadows. And for this, I'm going to be choosing a darker color, maybe even a little more red. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it's all right. I'm bringing my size down a little bit. And now we're going to start with the edges. And we're going to play and use these bulges that we made at the beginning. So I'm starting with the end there. And actually I'm gonna make little smaller strokes. I like the look of the pencil strokes as if I were using a real pencil, because that's the brush that I chose. And so whatever ink line I used, I will kind of lean towards that. Again, here I'm going to add in my shadow a bit. This really helps to bring the pumpkin to life. You don't have a flat color anymore, you have a real pumpkin. So you keep doing this process as you go. I didn't get my lines perfectly here, but it's okay. Again, this is just, we are enjoying this process, right? Okay, this one is the middle one, so for my shadows I might just put in a little bit on the top here, because this one is more in the back. So if you want to learn more about shading, I'm sure you can watch oodles of other artists' YouTube videos. I'm not delving into that aspect today. Just doing the way that I feel is right. If you're copying actually in real life, you would go with the lighting. You would follow the lighting that your pumpkin, you know, the lighting from the sun or from the light, wherever you are. If you're out in nature, that's probably the best. You copy, you follow that. All right, so I think it looks okay. I'm going to go with the bottom part, the middle part. Here I add just a little bit, not much. So the middle, we're gonna have it's probably gonna be the lightest part because that's where it gets most of its light. And so for the bottom, we're going to be continuing, doing exactly the same that we did on the top. At the edge here, I like to kind of add as well. Here, and we go with our same behind the bulge shadow there. So this really helps your pumpkin to stand out. I didn't get the perfect lines here, so I may have to fix that a bit. I'm going to just go with the bottom part here. This is our main middle. So I have the little lines and strokes. Here is the back. And what's nice about this, at the end, if I want to move something, I can merge the layers and move this one. For example, this here is out of place. I would probably move it a little bit here. Here I could have added another inked line, but it's okay. I think at the end, when you put when the whole picture is done, you won't even notice that. So yeah, I make mistakes in my art, and sometimes I do fix them. Other times I just flow with it. Keeps me humble. And then it helps remind me, you know what, I'm doing this for the enjoyment. It's not for perfection. That's the reason we're all drawing, right? Maybe you want to improve your skills. Maybe you want to just practice some drawing because that's what you enjoyed doing when you were younger. Sometimes I just draw for the fun of it. When I'm bored, I don't know what to do, I pick up my pencil, I get a paper, I start my sketchbook, or I go on the iPad. Somehow, some way, it just brings inspiration. It's like, you know what? I can do this. Look at this. And I end up enjoying it even more when I'm not actually drawing for a certain reason or result. That's really what I've learned recently in my art. Sometimes you don't need a certain result. Just accept wherever it's taking you. Okay, I like that. I'm going to do another layer because right now we have lots of layers available. I think it depends on the quality that I use for the iPad. And now I'm going to pick a lighter color. So I'm going to pick this one. This is the orange we have. I'm going to make it a little more yellow, a little lighter. And often I do like to overlay it. It brings even more contrast. Let's try it. I don't know what this will look like. It's quite yellow. Okay, let's see. It's very yellow. So again, let's play around. Okay. You know what? I like my brush a little bit bigger, so there we go. Properties, size, maximum size. I'm going to up it. For some reason, it wasn't big enough to my liking. Okay, and depending on how hard or soft I push, and I can even lower the opacity here. Okay, I'm making some, so if you're working with paint, you would need to make sure that this is totally dry before that your picture is totally dry before you even do this part. Okay, I'm going to go back to my layer and, no, I'm going to maybe lessen it a bit. Yeah, it's an R. And I think I'll make it a little brighter. Less white. I mean less yellow. I like that. Okay, so now look at your pumpkin. I'm going to try one last thing. This is not even necessary, but let's see how it looks. Oops, now I need to lower my brush size. No, again. Okay, I guess I really made it big, didn't I? Let's see. Okay, maximum size. Let's bring down our minimum. Because it really got big there. Oh, look how extreme the sizes are. Okay, so now we're bringing in a little bit more light to our picture. Again, I'm not exactly so clear on where my lighting is coming from, but I'll play around with. I'll look if I like this part or not. Basically, our light is coming from the front, from the middle, because okay, this step is not really necessary, is it? Let's see without it. Maybe I'll really put down. All right, I think we're ready to merge these layers. I will merge them, and I will add the stem. So for the stem, I like to start with a brown like this. I would say the color, the stem color can differ. I'm adding a little green for my shadows. So kind of like the bulges on the pumpkin, we're going to give our stem a few bulges as well. I think it kind of fits the, well, although I don't see it very much, I'm going to lighten this. Sometimes you do need to choose your colors with a lot of contrast for it to stand out. All right, and I will go back to my brown and darken it so we can add a little Don't worry about this part because I can bring this and we'll make it go underneath. And now we can merge the two. And we have our pumpkin. All right, moving on, let's go with our pretzel, shall we? Again, I'm going to add a layer to the bottom of the pretzel. We're finished with our pumpkin. I can, depending on how many layers I will need for the whole, to complete the whole picture, I will leave my ink strokes separately. If I ever want to use it as line art, for example. All right, our pretzel color, you can, if you want, take off the pumpkin color, but I like to keep mine on because then I can see how does my picture blend together, all the colors together. Okay, for example, I think this is a little bit too similar. I'm going to go a little bit with a lighter yellow color. Yeah, that looks good. What's nice about pretzels is really they can come in all shapes, sizes, colors, depending on how cooked they are, on how fresh they are, how you like them. Here on this part of the world, they eat pretzels sometimes with grated cheese on top. That's my favorite. Other times, most of the time, it's just with salt. Big rock salt, sea salt. It's just people's favorite. All right, so, oops, it went to eraser. So again, this is my rusty pencil brush. I'm just going around and around here. With a color pencil, if that's what you're working with, it will probably take you a little time, longer than me. If you're working with paint, you'll probably be ahead of me. So I really encourage you to use your medium of art that you are most comfortable with, that you prefer, or that you have on hand. If you have an iPad, then I definitely encourage Procreate. It really depends also on the reason for your piece of art. Okay, so we're almost done here. There we go. Now comes the fun part. I love doing the shading. So I start with a darker shade of what I used. Again, I'm going to use a new layer in case I don't like it. And I'm going to start with the part that's behind. Again, I'm making it kind of rough so you can see the pencil strokes. I really like that. Here again too, do the first little line, and I think it's really easy to blend like this when you're using paint and also color pencils. So here, this is part behind. If I wanted to, I could even lower my brush size a bit so I could see the strokes even, make them even a little bit more noticeable. This is okay. This kind of gives it a texture. All right, here's our lower part. So since our lighting is coming from the middle source, I'm kind of, okay, trying to see this pretzel as well with the same lighting. So we're gonna have a little bit of shadow here from this part of the pretzel. Here would be on this side, and a little bit on the bottom. All right. I wonder if that's too much because our lighting source is still coming from this side here. And so I can erase this. And I will add some here instead. Again, I like my little strokes, pencil strokes. There we go. Here it's ending here, and then it starts here. We don't see much contrast now because of the pumpkin behind, which is very similar warm colors. But we'll get there, which is what I like about the pretzel. Little by little, we see it coming to life as well, like we did for the pumpkin. Okay, here I would add a little more shadow on this side. Okay. I think this is good. Here I can add a bit more to continue this. Again, I really encourage you to have something to copy, which I didn't do here. I'm going by guesswork here on a pretzel that I had for breakfast. But actually having a real piece of art, a real object is really the best way to learn how to draw. Because then you can play around with it, you can move it and see how it fits into your picture. So next time I draw a pretzel, I will have a pretzel right here with me. And I'll be patient before I eat it. All right, I chose a very dark brown now, because this is what will help bring our contrast. Oops, you know what? I'm going to just make a new layer in case there's something I want to change. You know what? I think I'll give it a little bit more red color. Okay, that's okay. So I'm not going to do the exact same shading that I did previously. I'm kind of doing just a little part of it. As you'll notice, this really helps it to stand out. See that? I can tell now that's the part that's behind. Giving it some extra shading. This side as well. And this part here, the shading, would be also not because it's behind, but it would usually the higher part of the pretzel is the part that's the most cooked. Okay, here a little bit behind. I don't need to add very much. I think this is pretty good. Well, here a little bit. Now, what I like to play with when I do a pretzel is a bit of texture. So even though this brush has nice texture, I'm going to do another layer, and I'm going to change brush, like, let me see. Where do I have some nice textures? Okay, well, I keep my brushes I like here. Let's try willow charcoal. Add the see that? It kind of gives pretzel, bread, they're never perfect. So just giving a little bit of texture like that to me is like an amazing thing. and that's where I have fun. So if you're using a color pencil, that's a great way to use texture. Watercolor, it has its own special texture, so don't worry about that. Oh, is that too dark? Let's see. All right, I think it's okay. It's not perfect, but it's all right. Now I will merge these three together and I can see, okay, how does it look with and without? I'm going to add a new layer, and again, like I did the pumpkin, I'm going to give it a lighter shade. For now, I'll keep it to normal. We'll see if I need to change the lighting of it. I will go back to my usual brush, rusty brush. Now I'm going to do the highlights. Ooh, I don't like that color. Let's give it a little yellow. Let's see. Okay, much better. I can lower the opacity, but I want a bigger brush. Oops. Let's see, how does this look? Again, this is really what makes it come to life. I love adding my lights, my darks, and my light shadows. Okay. A little bit on this side here. This makes it look round, doesn't it? It's not just on a piece of paper. It makes it look 2D. And what's nice about the iPad, if you want to see the difference, you take off the layer. Look at that. Amazing. I love that. If you're just painting, then you'll enjoy the process as you go. All right, I think our lighting is good. I'm ready to merge the whole thing. There you go. We have our pretzel. All right, moving on to the flowers. Let's bring back the flowers. I will take off my background color. No, I need to be able to see that I'm coloring it because I want my daisies white. So I will just change the background color instead. Let's put a mild, yeah, like that. That way I can see my flowers are here. Okay, I'm going to add a new layer for the flowers. That way I can see exactly what I'm coloring. Otherwise, white on white would not work very well, would it? Okay, here we go. We're going to be putting in our flat color for the daisy. Sometimes I do the outside part first, the outline. Other times I just start from the top and work my way down. It really depends how you like to work. And as you can see, I think I vary too. I don't have... You know what? I wonder if I think I prefer starting from top to bottom. Yeah, this takes a lot of patience, doesn't it? Each little petal. Not just each petal, each stroke on the petal. When I'm coloring flowers, I just think about my favorite flowers. I love daisies, they just make me feel happy. There's another type of flower, which is actually the ones I'm thinking about. They look exactly like daisies, but they're bigger. So that's what I'm drawing here. They're probably my favorite flower. There are loads of different colors actually as well. You can find them in, I think they're autumn flowers. You can find them in summer as well, but all right, we'll color all our daisies here. So I hope you're able to follow along, that I'm not going too fast or too slow. If I'm going too fast, feel free to pause the video time to time. If I'm going too slow, well, you have extra time to reflect and enjoy your picture. Enjoy the process of coloring, drawing, because in the end, you'll get to enjoy it in a different way. Now we're enjoying the process, which is what I'm learning about life too. Sometimes I wait, oh, when this happens, or I tell myself, oh, I'll be happy during vacation, when vacation happens. And then I'm on vacation, like, oh, I'll enjoy myself even more when vacation is ended. I'll have my routine again. But that's what I love about each season. It all brings something special. Instead of waiting for the next season to come, oh, I hope it warms up. Or if you're in the heat of summer, oh, I hope it cools down a bit. You know what? I've just been trying to enjoy each season because it's for a reason. All right. Oh, I love how the colors stand out on this purple, though purple's not my favorite color. I'm going to choose an orange here, kind of orange brown for the middle of my flower. So again, here we're just doing the flat colors. You could go, actually this is what I do sometimes. I do the flat colors for my whole picture. So as you'll see in some of my other videos, that's the process that I do. I'm not sure why it happened this way, that I do each thing separate. I don't know why. This is actually the first time I do it this way. Sometimes with art, you don't understand why something happens, why you end up doing something a certain way, but it does. So I'm going with the flow. All right, I will add a new layer for my other flowers. I'm going to choose, I really like light pink. Now, let's see if it works with this picture or not. Because I know light pink is really good for summer vibe or spring vibe. Kind of like the new buds, new life. It starts very soft, pastel. All right, I think it's okay. What's fun about these flowers is because they're not a particular flower, I'm actually free to do whatever color I want. And so sometimes, as you'll see, I'll color these all the same color. Other times, actually, I'm going to keep that one and do a different version of this color. So let's enjoy this process. Yes, it's taking a while. I'm listening to the sounds around me. I'm thinking about the flowers in my garden. This one I will also do a different color. So this is where I need to decide. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep the different layers for each flower because then I can separate them easily for my clip art. Although, I don't know if I did that for my... I didn't do that for my lines, did I? Great. Okay, I will decide right now that I want my, oops. So I'm going to go to my line art layer, that I want my daisies in front. So I will also need to, actually this I can just put this layer behind the daisies. All right, any others that need to be? Okay, this one is fine. That's fine, I guess. All right, moving on with my little pink flowers. Oops, I was on eraser tool. So as I was saying, while I color flowers, makes me think about my favorite color, which is this one. So you might see me doing a lot of pink flowers. I love just the light pink pastel. To me, it's so calming. And my next favorite color is yellow because it just makes me happy. All right, here's some more. As you can see, I'm sure you all know, if you're in the art world, art takes time. It's important to take that time for yourself. All right, I'm going to just alter the shade, the slight variation in the color, maybe a little bit darker for some of my flowers. Let's see, is it dark enough? Tiny bit more. Okay, just for a little variety. You can make these any color you want, really. How about you pick your own colors, since these are just made up flowers. Pick your favorite color. See how it blends in with your picture. Or if you've already done some, use the light pink, and then whether you want some red. Red looks beautiful too with pink. Red, purple, that could look nice too. When I look out in nature, I just, for some reason, the blends of the colors, like, I think sometimes I try too hard to find the perfect color when in nature it doesn't really matter. All the colors look so beautiful together. Last night I was just sitting in our town. I live in a small town, and on the bench, just discussing, talking with my husband. We spent some time together, and we were sitting in front of these wildflowers, beautiful yellow, red, purple, bright colors, and they looked amazing together. I wouldn't have imagined coloring them that color, but I guess somehow they all just blend in perfectly together, which kind of encourages me not to be fearful of colors. What you first see and then the end result can be very different as well. So I'm trying to be a little bolder in my colors. All right, so now we will move on to our little bit of shading here. So my daisies are white, so I like to use a very light version of blue. So if the leaves are in the back, I'll add a little bit of shading on the back, and here in the middle, mainly. Okay, let me just see if it makes enough of a difference. Maybe not. Okay, I'm going to be bold here, a little bit darker, because the end result will probably look amazing. Okay, it doesn't need too much, just a little bit in the middle where the petals fold in a bit. The rest, I just love the white, the contrast with the pumpkin. See that? But we're just helping our little daisy to stand out here. All right, moving on. If your leaves are not in the back, then I just add a little bit to the middle. Here a little bit in the back. There's no rhyme and reason, really. You can add a little shading to the side, to the middle, to the other side. Or even, yeah, leave out the middle part here altogether. A little bit here on the side because it's in the back. Okay, here we're watching our flower come to life as well. See that? It changes everything. Our last daisy here. If anybody knows the name of this flower, please leave it in the comments below. I could look it up too. I'm being lazy. It's my favorite flower and I don't even know the name. But I definitely know how to spot it, when to spot it. So I live in France, but I grew up in many different countries. And so I speak French and English. So at times I get mixed up with my words as well, which is maybe the reason why I didn't even bother looking for this flower. Will I look for the French name or the English name? Okay, I'm moving on to my middle part. So because we went quite dark, actually I will go a little bit darker. And let's make the middle part come to life as well. I really like adding a little bit of texture because it's actually, in real life, this part is full of texture. This is where all the seeds are. So I'm not going to make my lines perfect here. Like that. And then I will go for a light, maybe add a little yellow. And again here, I'm maybe even making my brush size smaller. And yeah, just adding in little circles as my highlights. I don't know if this is really how they look. Actually, I'm not crazy about that. No. All right, erase that. Well, you can continue it if you want. I might just up my brush size and give it one. Lower my opacity. I like that. Sorry if you started with the dots. If you're an iPad, you can fix it up. If you're on watercolor, you can also fix it up. If you're in color pencils, you could probably erase it or try coloring over it. Or do it how you want, really. Okay, our daisies are finished. Now moving on to our pink flowers. Okay, well, what I can do is merge in the daisies. I will add a new layer for my pink ones. And I'm going to, well, I have an option. I can either go darker for my middle, which is usually what I do. And I'm just making little strokes like this from the middle to the sides. We're going very simple here. And it kind of gives a nice little depth to it. Very simple. This is what this art is all about. It's not perfection. My style is very simple. Little whimsical. I really want everybody to be able to copy it in their way, in the way that they can and feel most comfortable with. Which is why I encourage any mediums of art to go with what inspires you, what brings you joy in the moment, what passions you. Funny thing is that I enjoy all of them, so maybe it depends on my mood, on the day, when I feel I need to relax a little more, I'll go with watercolor. When I want it for a specific project, like this one, I'm doing a piece of clip art. As I said before, I will go with the iPad. But it doesn't mean that the other ones wouldn't work either. All right. And I'm going to try something different, which is the other way I like to do it, is sometimes I like to lighten up the middle. Some flowers are that way. So for my darker shade flowers, I'm going to add in a lighter shade of pink, actually quite a bit lighter. So both of them bring a bit of contrast. Okay, this is a bigger one. I will up my brush size a bit. So it's another thing I suggest, actually. You go with you can start with the big ones or small ones. And depending on the flower size, I like to alter my brush stroke, brush size. All right, I noticed that I forgot a flower here, so I'm going to, again, I'll choose this color. I'm going to do the flat color here. It's funny how sometimes little parts of a picture get hidden or forgotten about. This is my last used color. And I will do the middle part. Okay, I think there we have it for our flowers. So I'll merge the two layers. We have our daisies, we have our pink flowers. And now, moving on to our leaves. So underneath the line art, I will choose a new layer. I will go with the leaves. So usually I have my palettes, but I'm not going to show you that right now because you may not have a palette that you're working with. And when you do your watercoloring or color pencils, you don't have a palette to work with. You get to start from scratch. So I'm trying this out, but no, it's not really my type of green. I think for this picture, it will be a nice yellow green. Kind of matches the autumn vibes, pumpkin vibes, maybe. Though what I will do is take out go back to my, okay, see, now that it's white, I can see a little clearer what it will look like. Make sure I'm back on my leaf. It's a little dark to me, this color, but I'm going to see how it looks when I add in some shadings. So I'll just go with it for now, at least for this one around. So here it's going on the top, but I prefer it actually being behind the flower. But anyway, for clip art reasons, I'm keeping it like that. I will lighten it up a bit for this one, even though it's the same type of leaf. I wonder if there's even two leaves the same color. I wondered about that. Just like flowers, I wonder, do they all have a little bit of a tiny different color to them? It's a mystery. But that doesn't keep me from making mine different. Okay, so I have a couple more. I'm trying to color here the same type of leaves, the same color. Erase a little bit here. I don't mind a little bit out of the lines. As you'll see, it's not perfect, as long as it doesn't go too much out of the lines. Okay, so these types of leaves are all kind of the same, similar. We'll go back with my dark here, and I'll make this one dark, just for variety. And maybe even this one. It's the same shape. It's bigger. You see the veins, but all right. I have my fern. Ferns are a little bit more bluish to me. And I like kind of like a, let's see if this, yeah, I like this. The smaller brush here because these are very skinny. Even smaller. Oops, now I need to decide this will go in the back. Since I put all my leaves on the same layer, actually there was no need of, although I should have really put my fern on a different layer for the line art. But since I didn't, my coloring will just also not. I usually try to remember that when I create the clip art, because if I want to add the fern to something else, or to a letter, or a word, or to a scroll or something, or somewhere else on my picture, I'll have it totally by itself, because ferns really fill up a picture. I could have added one up here, for example. If it was on a different layer, I could have easily done it. Now, a little bit too late. All right, so I will go into my leaves line art and erase these lines too. Brush is quite big there. Okay, here we go. I will just do these little ones. For these little wheat looking, I love like a brown yellow color. Make sure I'm on my right layer. Yeah, I love this. All right. It's probably not exactly wheat, but it's that style. All right, here we go. It's coming together. Now, our last step is our leaf shadings. All right, I will start with the big leaves. Again, I will go darker. And just like with the flowers, I'm making it very simple, adding a little bit of dark shade on the bottom. It's kind of like where the fold is, if there is even a fold on the leaves. Sometimes there is on, you can kind of look at your shape of your leaf. I usually keep the big part, the big side to be the light, to get more light, and then the smaller side to be a little bit behind, which is why I put a little bit more shade on that side. If they're similar, I kind of give them each an even look. Again, here, this one is a little bit smaller, so I will give it a little bit more shade. This one can have a little bit of shade on the bottom. Oops, that's a different color, so I will go with that one after. These are kind of even, so I will just do an even look on this. Again, I like the pencil. I like the pencil. Any others? Did I miss any? No. So now I'll go with this one and make these a little darker too. Which one would be my back? Often when the leaf is going this way, I usually have this, the wider part be the lighter part. To me, it just makes sense that that takes in the most light. But that's just me. All right, here again, which doesn't make sense because this part is bigger. So because of that, I will just do them evenly. Same here. It's funny how I don't think of it as I'm drawing, but then when you're coloring, you think about different things, don't you? And I will also use, for this one, I will use that same shade color. All right, so I'm kind of just staying here, my shadows with the near the stem. And then, as if highlights, we'll work on this one has no line in the middle, so definitely just on the bottom, I put in a little shade. This is my favorite part, when I get to put in the highlights. So as you see, my art steps are very simple. There's nothing too complicated. Okay, for my highlights, I just put in a little bit like that in the middle of the leaf. I wonder if that's light enough. Now, seeing the difference, let's see, turn off the layer. Let's look closer. See, it's not much difference, but to me, it just gives a little, I don't know, I love the extra lighting. So here I will not put too much on this side. This has the most lighting. Again, I like the rough texture of the pencil. Maybe a little more here. Oh, this is the darker one. All right, I think that's it for the lighter ones. So the dark ones, I'm taking the same color and just lightening it from that. Again. And for these, I like giving the highlights. So this one you can work a little differently with your shadows, with your highlights. I try to bring out the nerves of the flower, of the leaf. When it's just a plain leaf like that, I just bring in a little. There are different ways to do shading on leaves. This is just one way that I think fits my picture nicely. All right, and it's very simple too. Okay, let's see. Without with. See, just a little touch like that changes it. All right, well, oh, there we go. I'm gonna merge my overlay and shadows and the whole thing together. So there you have it. Oh, for my little wheats, these don't really need much shading because they're so little, but I'll just give them a little highlight on the top where they catch the most light. And I think, oh, one last very important thing, my pretzel, I'm going to go on top of the black and white. I'm going to pick white and we're going to add in some salt. A little bit thinner lines of salt. They're not always totally round. And I do it over the line art so that sometimes they can come onto the line art. They're really random, not perfectly. I think the more random they are, sometimes they're very tight, sometimes they're very loose. Where they are, the more random you can be, the more realistic it will show. Don't forget that salt. I think it just adds everything to the pretzel. Maybe some of you may like to add sprinkles. I've never seen that on a pretzel though. Wouldn't be a bad idea for those who like sweet stuff. Reminds me of a donut. Maybe the European version of the donut. All right, I think that looks okay. Okay, and often the salt is even more on this white part than on the little, but since mine is a bit hidden, I went with, there we go, I like that because it's a little more contrast with the pumpkin. Well, that's the end, unless you want to add in a little background. Okay, I really like some of these textures there. I don't really know what color. Actually, let me try this. Nope. You know what? Sometimes it also works just to, that if you want to add a background, you can add something like that, or a color of your choice, maybe even a darker. But if not, I would just leave it as it is, or add a, I use my same pencil sketch, and you can add, oops, my layer is hidden. I forgot to make a new layer. Definitely upping the size of my brush. So you can either make a background for the whole thing, or just a little drop shadow like that. And I leave it kind of pencil looking. I like the, you know, the simplicity of it. You can get a darker color for the under part. There we go, it really makes it stand out even more. If you want yours to be sitting on the ground. If not, if you want yours up in the air, just not even too realistic. All right, well, I think that's it for our picture. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.